For years, I was painting on these terrible, cheap canvases. You know, the ones that have the wonky stretcher bars, canvas so thin you can see the sun through it. Well, those are definitely not what I paint on anymore. Today, I'm going to show you my method for mounting canvas or linen to a board that only takes about 10 minutes and it costs about $12, really the same price as a cheap canvas, but way better product. But here's the thing, the technique didn't just change my surfaces and the quality, it completely changed how I thought about what was worth painting. Stick around till the end because that insight changed everything for me. So you're going to need some supplies. First of all, you're going to need a board. I like these birch boards that are very inexpensive. You're going to need either linen or canvas, whatever your substrate is. These are offcuts from rolls that I get from the art supply shop. You will need a ruler and X-Acto to trim it up. Sometimes I will use great heavy-duty fabric scissors to cut my linen and canvas as well. I like working with General's white charcoal pencil and this eraser. Then you're going to need golden regular gel semi-gloss. This is nice because it doesn't yellow and not so thick that it doesn't spread, but it's not so runny that it buckles the actual linen. So if you're using a fine linen like me, you definitely don't want it to buckle. And then because afterwards we'll clean up the edges, I like to have some baby wipes on hand, unscented. And then of course you'll need a spreader, something where you can smooth the surface for pressing it down when we're mounting it. I like to have baking paper as a barrier. So grab just a sheet of baking paper. You can use that as we put books and weights on it to press it in the end. So you might be asking why these specific choices? Because when mounting quality materials to a board, you want to make sure that they're going to last, they don't buckle, and they're going to support the painting process, and they're going to hold up for your collectors so you can know for sure that nothing is going to be destroyed over time. And that's really the point of all this. You're creating a better quality surface to paint on and a surface that respects your work. Quick thing, if you're enjoying this and you want to learn more about creating art that feels worth your time, I made a free workshop called The Secret to Making Art That Finally Feels Like You. Link is in the description if you want to check that out. Okay, now let's get to the actual mounting. So I'm going to walk you through step by step exactly how I go through the process. Step 1, cut your linen or canvas to the exact size, bigger than your board. So I usually cut my linen or canvas about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters larger than my board so that I have enough bleed off the edge so when I'm all done, I can trim it out flush later. Step 2, prepare your board. Make sure you have a really clean board. If you have to give it a sand, give it a sand, but make sure you wipe all the dust off with a baby wipe or something so there's no dust. You need a really good clean surface so that the medium adheres properly. So step 3, applying the medium. This is really simple. This is where the medium becomes the adhesive and it doesn't yellow over time. It's firm enough to be tacky, but not so thick that it won't spread. So here's how I apply it. I make sure to get a good coverage across the whole surface, but not so much that it's dripping everywhere and not so thick that it's going to be lumpy. You want to have enough to bond the linen properly or canvas, whatever you're using. Make sure that you've got the medium all the way to the edges so that your medium is actually completely going over the edges because you don't want your corners peeling up. We'll clean it up later if it goes off the edge. Step 4, mount the linen. And this is clear sized linen. I'm going to be applying the glue to the non-primed side. Now carefully place your linen on the board and start at one end and smooth as you go, working out any bubbles or wrinkles with those applicators. I use an old credit card or something smooth to press it down flat. You want to take your time on this and make sure that everything is bonded when you're smoothing it out. You don't want any lumps. You want to make sure that you've got the medium all the way to the edges. You don't want anything to peel up. So once you've mounted that linen or canvas, the next step is creating a barrier between your board and your surface. I have a plastic wrap on my table. I also put baking paper underneath it as I lay it on my table. And then once you have that laid down flat, you're going to put a stack of books or weights on it to get some weight over it. And once you do that, leave it there with the books, with the weight, and let it dry overnight. And you can see your medium oozing out the side. As you put the weight on it and everything's secure, now you can take your baby wipes and wipe the edge so that you don't have that medium drying on the edge, because that will be harder to cut later. And then once you leave that and it dries overnight, you're going to do some final steps. Step 6 is the final touches. This is where you trim off your edges. I also have a green healing map when I'm cutting, so figure out what works for you to cut, but your most important thing is to have a sharp blade. Otherwise, it will not cut nicely. So the key here is a sharp blade and stay against a steady edge and pull straight. And repeat that until you feel the fabric coming up. If the fabric's not coming up, that means you need to keep repeating cutting until that is free. Now, if you want a tapered edge, honestly, I don't really worry about that. I either paint the edges, or if I don't paint the edges, I'll put it straight into a frame. Put your D-rings on the back and get it ready to hang. And that's it. You have just created a really high quality surface product, one that really stands up to the test of time, and it probably cost you around $12 and only 10 minutes of active work. So that's the technique. Hopefully you liked it. But why do I love this so much? When I switched to quality linen instead of cheap canvases with wonky stretcher bars or cheap boards that just weren't even nice, not only did my surface change, but the way I thought about my work changed as well. Because here's what I realized. If you don't feel confident about your ideas as an artist, you won't invest into quality materials. You won't invest into yourself. You won't think bigger, because deep down, you don't believe that your ideas are worth it yet. And that's the actual real blocker. It's not that you lack skill, it's that you lack belief in what you're creating. And collectors can sense that too. But when I started believing in my ideas, when I invested in better quality materials, everything shifted. Collectors could feel the difference. The work started to look more professional. It felt more valuable because it was. Yes, it allowed me to price higher. But here's the thing. The higher price wasn't from being sneaky about the materials. It came from confidence in my work, from showing up with work that I actually believed in, painting on surfaces that I really respected. And that's actually what my ideation system is all about. Being intentional about what you want to paint, not just any idea, but what ideas are worth your time and your materials that are unique to you. And when you know what you want to express, when you have clarity on your unique voice, then you naturally want better surfaces to express it on. And the reverse is also true. When you respect your materials, it makes you think more carefully about what you're creating. That's the cycle: respecting your materials, being intentional about your ideas, believing in what you're making. That's what changes everything. And if you found this video useful, hit the subscribe button. I make videos about improving artist practice and creating work that feels authentically yours. Thanks for watching, and happy painting.